Stranger Things Season 1. Now this will be my spoiler-free review. Spoiler review or spoiler discussion about this season will probably be uploaded sometime tomorrow because I don't know if I'll end up doing it right after this. But I enjoyed this show. I understood after, going through it, I actually watched it with my girlfriend and she enjoyed it as well. Kind of easy to recognize why it's been blowing up so much. And of course, it's been announced that it is getting a Season 2, which makes perfect sense. Has a great style, it harkens back, obviously it harkens back to sort of old 80s adventure films with kids where it's a fun adventure sort of deal, but it's also fairly serious. It's kind of like E.T. and Goonies and stuff like that, where you have mostly your kids are the important characters. You have kind of your couple of teenage characters, and this actually does include a fair amount of adult characters as well that actually have crucial roles. And I really enjoyed it. I thought it was, a great couple episodes. I don't think it's even 10. I think it's only like 8 episodes or something like that. But it was really fun. It was a really cool story. I think the pacing I thought was fairly well done. I like the explanation of all the weird stuff that happened in it. And I kind of don't want to talk about anything because I didn't know what it was about. I just figured that, it's even called Stranger Things and stuff. I'm like, I'm assuming that something weird is happening and it's pseudo-supernatural or something going on. I didn't really know. Even from the description, it's just like a weird mystery sort of deal. So I don't really want to talk too much about what happens as far as the big elements of the story, but the characters I thought were well done. We have with it mostly, well, I shouldn't say mostly being child actors, but the child actors being the main characters. I thought they did a great job. It was fairly simple. It was realistic. They'd have their jokes and they'd be friends, and then they'd have arguments and stuff like that, and it all worked. I thought all the actors did really well. The actors who played the teenagers did well. So we have like some of the douchey teenagers, we have the preppy teenagers, we have the outcast teenager and stuff, but it all works. Like, it all worked together, and I like the way that everything kind of flowed throughout the story. And there's some elements that seem obvious, but they don't go the obvious route, which I really enjoyed when it got to the final episode. I was like, that I appreciate. Simple little thing, but everyone tends to follow like a very specific path, and they don't do that by the end of the season. And I was like, I'm glad they didn't. It was for a specific group of characters that they didn't do that, and I was like, thank goodness. I'm glad they didn't do it that way. But I liked the actors. I thought everybody did a good job. The main name for the series is that Winona Ryder is in it. She did a great job. I really enjoyed her, and I don't know the actor who played her son, but they both did really great jobs. They had like probably the most serious moments and very emotional stuff. And I was like, these are all really well done. And they'd have moments where they were together in their sadness, and then moments where they were not together, where they were against each other a little bit in their sadness because they couldn't come to terms exactly what was happening. So I really enjoyed that. I was like, all their emotional scenes I thought were pretty much perfect. I was like, I don't think this is overacted or underacted. I thought it was very realistic. And watching the story, even though it's crazy and like supernatural stuff, you understand where Winona Ryder's character is coming from because we've seen what's happening as the show goes on, around her character, and then what other people experience or don't experience and stuff like that. So it's really cool the way it plays out and how it just makes sense. Like, a lot of stuff makes sense, and then you have some real world issues as well thrown in there for some of the characters. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really cool. I know it's super vague, but because I knew so little. I don't even remember. I wish I remembered exactly what the description said for the series, but I don't want to like give away a single thing. But I really like all the characters. I'm super excited to see where they go for season 2 because there's like it was obvious that they had something that they could do, and I was like, all right, they could easily make this happen for season 2, and that makes sense. But then there's a second thing that they did that I wasn't really expecting, and I was like, that I think is really cool because once again, I can't really get into it because it's something that they kind of reveal as things go on throughout the story. But I thought it was they had two nice little cliffhangers as to what they could do, and one of them I was surprised by, and I was like, that I'm actually really excited to see where they take it. But ultimately, as vague as this is, I might actually do my spoiler thing because I'm pretty much about to end this because I don't want to give anything away. But it's a really fun show. If you like, basically old 80s movies, it is a good movie. You will enjoy it. It has some of the tropes. Like, the one thing that I thought was funny. It does the parents thing that a lot of older movies do, or like E.T. is probably my greatest example where I don't remember the parents in that movie. It's been a long time since I've seen E.T. and I know they're in there, but E.T. basically takes place in the one house for most of the movie, and I just don't remember the parents at all, and they're at home most of the time, so I don't know if it was like, oh, they're on vacation, which I feel like might have been the thing for E.T. It's been so long, so I don't remember, but they kind of had that a little bit in this too, where it's like, oh, outside of Winona Ryder's character, who had a very crucial role as one of the parents, there's the other parents are kind of either non-existent. Like there's one of the actors, there's three boys pretty much that are like the main um, little group of characters, and one of the boys, I'm pretty sure they don't ever show his parents, and it was just so funny. Like one of the boys, it kind of takes place at his house, so we see his parents all the time. His best friend, we see one time his parents, and I was like, oh, they're his parents, and that's what made me look for the other kid's parents. I was like, I'm pretty sure we never saw them, but I thought that was funny. They do have one of the parents outside of Winona Ryder who's actually involved, but she's like involved in a weird way, and it's kind of stupid the way they do it. And it really annoyed my girlfriend, but it was like, yeah, it's like things are happening and things are really weird and suspicious, and it's not like, oh, this is suspicious, maybe something's happening. This would be like, she's the parent and she talks with her children and she sees that things are being weird with both of them, but then she like doesn't do anything or say anything to them, and it's really weird. Like you can tell she thinks something's going on like the whole time, but she never just flat out talks to them, and it's such a weird thing. Like she every time she wants to talk to them, it's like after they say something super obvious, like that should have been a huge warning for you, but instead you waited like 10 minutes, and then you're like, I'm gonna ask questions now, and it was really weird. That was like the one thing they did. And this was like the main boy's mother, and it was just so weird. It was like that's like the one thing that was a little annoying, where it was like she clearly has concerns, and you can tell, at least based on the way she delivered it, they had her deliver the lines. She seems suspicious, with what's going on based on the dialogue she's hearing from her own children. It's not like she saw something a little off. She's hearing it from her own kids, and then it was like she would just wait a really long amount of time or just wouldn't do anything, and it'd be like, that's super suspicious. Like, just, nothing to you. So that was like the one thing that kind of, it did bug me a little. I just annoyed the crap out of my girlfriend, but it did happen a lot, and it was a little weird, and it's just like it keeps happening, and that's like the one thing, and that's really, it's not that big of a deal. It's just something you notice, and I think, I don't know if that was meant to kind of reference the parents thing, but the pretty much non-existent parents for like the other characters, I think that was meant to be like a reference to the other 80s movies and stuff, like Goonies and stuff, where you see the adults like here and there, like maybe beginning and end in E.T. like every once in a while, and most of the adults that you do end up seeing are the bad guys, and that's pretty much how it goes in this too. Like most of the adults you see, um, technically speaking, because there's a ton of them, but the adults do get a fairly important role in this compared to some of the older movies, but they kind of have to, with it being not just an hour and a half long thing. It's a solid 8 to 10 hours, depending on how many episodes, because I already forgot. But highly recommend it. It's a really good sort of mystery that you get to figure out, and I think all the actors did really well. I'm excited for season 2. If you haven't seen it, um, just check out the first episode. I'm pretty sure it'll hook you. I mean, if you're interested in that sort of thing with those, the whole 80s style, even the credits. The credits are like full on Tron. When I see them, I think of Tron every time the credits would start, because it was like the neon lights and stuff like that. And I would be like, this makes me think of Tron, which I love because I love Tron. But it's really good. It's set in the, with it being said in the 80s, they have jokes about stuff like that and things that they can't do, of course, because they can't just be like, well, let's Google this and see what happens. You have to do actual research, or you have to go somewhere, or talk to someone else who knows, knows a certain answer or something like that. So they utilize it well. It's not just, oh, it's set in the 80s. Meh. They actually utilize it. It's not just because it's set in the 80s just to be cool or something. It's like they utilize it, and maybe it is set in the 80s just to be cool as well. But I really enjoy it. Tons of stuff. The kids are actually super nerdy kids, and I love that because they were making like a bunch of references to comic books and Dungeons and Dragons and all sorts of stuff. And I was like, that's awesome because you know it kind of shows like the directors who are the Duffer Brothers, I believe. I would assume it's them because they created the show. Um, they I would assume are kind of nerdy, and because they could have just had normal 80s kids where it's like, oh, I like this or I like that, but these kids were playing like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. So I was like, I truly appreciate that. I don't personally play D&D myself, but they're making a bunch of other references to comic books and other sorts of things, and I was like, sweet. Like, so I love all the nerdiness that they were doing, and they make nerdy references all the time, just all sorts of stuff. So that's just a personal thing. It probably won't matter to other people who aren't really nerdy, but if you are, that's just a little bonus. All three of the main characters are super nerdy and constantly referencing like Dungeons and Dragons, X-Men, Ninja Turtles. They just throw out stuff, and I'm like, this is sweet. I love that. So that's just an added little bonus. But even outside of the characters just being nerdy, it's a really fun show. I highly recommend it. Like I said, I'll probably do my spoiler thing sometime tonight, which means it won't upload until tomorrow because I won't be here to upload it. But I definitely want to know what you guys thought about this first season, or if you're early on into the series, what you guys are thinking about it so far. And of course, if you're gonna spoil anything, just put spoiler tags. But if it's generic, make sure it's generic, and try not to spoil it for anyone. But if you prefer to save it until sometime tomorrow, I'm not 100% sure when I'll upload it. But if you want to save all your comments for the spoiler video, you can certainly do that, and I'll put a link in the description once I have that uploaded. So for anyone who might be checking this out, way down the line, you can just check the description to get the spoiler video. But like I said, would love to know what you think about it. Just put spoiler tag so it doesn't get spoiled for people. But I'd love to talk with you guys to know what you think about the show, whether you finished it or you kind of still going through it right now. So please comment below, let me know without spoilers, or with spoiler tags at least, what you guys thought about the show, and what you guys are looking forward to for season 2 as well, if you've already gotten through it. And of course, thank you guys for checking this out.